Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. If you've ever felt like you're running on empty, like no matter how much you rest, you can't seem to shake that drained, worn out feeling, well then this video is for you. Today we're talking about burnout and more specifically, the chemistry behind it. If you've been dealing with stress, exhaustion and feeling totally disconnected from your own life, well you need to stick around because you're about to learn how burnout really works on a biological level and more importantly, what you can do about it. You're going to get some fresh, cutting-edge info on how to hack your body's natural response to burnout and reclaim your energy and creativity. Burnout. What a visual term. Burnout's not just about being a tad bit tired. It's a serious mental, physical and emotional exhaustion that happens when you are constantly stressed for far too long. You feel mentally foggy, emotionally flat and physically drained. It's like your battery is on 1% all the time. But here's the behind the scenes intel. Burnout isn't just an emotional issue. It's deeply chemical, and what's happening inside your body is nothing short of fascinating. Research from the American Psychological Association shows burnout involves chronic stress, which triggers changes in your brain's chemistry. So when you're feeling that empty feeling, like that signal from your body, I can't do this anymore sensation, there's actually a biochemical reason behind it. And it's your brain telling you to respond to the chemistry in your body. The key players are cortisol and adrenaline. When you're under stress, your body releases hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. These two are the main players in the stress response. Cortisol is your body's stress hormone, and adrenaline is what gets your heart pumping and your body ready for action. They're great when you need to survive, like when you're facing danger or in a high-stakes situation. But what happens when these hormones get released too often, too quickly, for too long? Here's the deal. When your body is constantly flooded with cortisol and adrenaline, it starts to take a serious toll on both your body and mind. So let's break this down. Studies out of the University of California show that prolonged exposure to high cortisol levels can impair your memory, focus, and your ability to regulate emotions. In other words, you feel mentally foggy, emotionally drained, and like your brain is just done. It's your body telling you that you've reached your limit. In life, it's so important that we manage our limits. Now let's talk about cortisol for a second because it's super important in understanding burnout. Cortisol is meant to be a short-term solution. It's supposed to help you get through a stressful situation. So think of it like your emergency brake. But when you're living in a state of constant stress, that brake is slammed on and it doesn't let up. Research from the Mayo Clinic shows that chronic cortisol exposure can lead to physical symptoms like high blood pressure, weakened immune function, digestive issues, and even sleep problems. But it doesn't just stop there. When cortisol levels are chronically elevated, it can shrink the hippocampus, the part of your brain responsible for memory and emotional regulation. Now, I love taking magnesium glycinate or citrate. They're my two faves. They're absorbable forms of magnesium that helps bring cortisol levels down. I take the maximum daily recommended dose and I love taking it before bed to help me with a good night's sleep. Many people are deficient in magnesium, so it's a great way to combat cortisol. But there are things that we can do with boundaries and knowing our personal limits and changing our environment to ensure that we keep our cortisol down. So when you're burnt out, it's not just mental fatigue, it's literally a brain issue. And here's where things get crazy. The more you stress, the more cortisol you produce, and the more you lose the ability to think clearly and manage your emotions. It becomes a downward spiral, and before you know it, you're trapped in this cycle of exhaustion and frustration, which only makes your burnout worse. So let's shift gears and talk about adrenaline for a second. Adrenaline's job is to get you ready to fight or to run away from stressful situations. It's that rush that you get when you're in danger. When you're constantly stressed, your body doesn't know when to turn off that adrenaline. You end up in a constant state of fight or flight, even when there's no immediate threat. Studies from the University of Oxford has shown that chronic adrenaline release can lead to anxiety, irritability, and sleep disturbances. Long-term adrenaline exposure can actually make you more sensitive to stress, which just adds fuel to the fire of burnout. So while adrenaline might feel like it's helping you power through your tough day, over time, it's doing the opposite. It's straining you and ramping up your anxiety and emotional reactivity. Now, let's throw dopamine in the mix. Dopamine is the feel-good neurotransmitter. It's what makes you feel motivated, inspired, and like you're on top of the world. In the short term, dopamine rewards you for taking action, for hitting your goals, and accomplishing things. But the catch is that dopamine is addictive, so when you're constantly stressed and overloading your brain with cortisol and adrenaline, it can mess with your dopamine system. Research from the National Institute of Health found that chronic stress can cause a dopamine deficit, which leads to feelings of apathy, a lack of motivation, and an inability to feel pleasure, aka burnout. Now remember that this is the chemistry behind burnout, so other things could be impacting the chemistry too. Indulging in unhelpful, cheap dopamine habits, if you are in a toxic environment, if you are deficient in nutrients, if you are consuming drugs, alcohol, toxins, outside covert things can also be putting a burden on the body and causing stress, aka burnout. You start to feel like you're going through the motions without actually enjoying anything. It's like your brain's reward system has been hijacked and you can't seem to get back to that feeling of that satisfaction and excitement. This is a critical piece of the burnout puzzle, how the body physically feels burnout. Let's get real for a moment. Burnout doesn't just mess with your brain, it messes with your body too. When your body is in constant fight or flight mode, it only puts extra strain on your heart, your immune system, and your muscles. You might feel tense, like your muscles are all wound up tight, or you might have digestive issues because your body is in stress mode all the time. Studies out of Cleveland Clinic show that people experiencing burnout often have chronic pain, sleep disturbances, and even stomach problems like ulcers or irritable bowel syndrome. The longer your body stays in that state, the more susceptible you can be to illness, exhaustion, and physical breakdown. This is why burnout isn't just about being tired, it's a full body experience. How do we fix this? How do you break free out of burnout and reset your mind and body? The good news is it is possible if you give your body space to recover. First, you've got to manage your stress. Studies from the American Psychological Association recommend practicing mindfulness, meditation, and deep breathing to activate your parasympathetic nervous system, which helps counteract the fight or flight mode. It lowers cortisol and helps restore balance. Second, you need to sleep, and I mean really sleep. Research from the National Sleep Foundation showed that sleep is one of the most powerful tools in resetting your body's stress response. When you sleep, your body and brain get the chance to replenish neurotransmitters and hormones like dopamine, serotonin, and cortisol. You literally rebuild yourself while you rest. And I highly recommend the daily recommended dose of magnesium in an absorbable form before you go to bed. So magnesium glycinate, that will help relax your muscles and help you sleep like a baby. And the third tip, movement is key. Exercise is an excellent way to reduce cortisol, to improve your dopamine production and rebuild your energy. Whether it's stretching, walking, or hitting the gym, physical activity is your ally in fighting against burnout. And lastly, make sure you're eating right. Research from Harvard Health emphasizes the importance of a balanced diet rich in omega-3 antioxidants and vitamins to help your body fight the effects of chronic stress. What you eat matters, especially when you're trying to reset your stress levels. So there you have it, the chemistry behind burnout. It's not just about stress, it's about how your body responds to that stress, flooding your system with hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. And over time, these hormones mess with your brain, your emotions, and even your physical health. But the good news is you can break the cycle. By managing stress, improving your sleep, and getting the right kind of exercise, and fueling your body with the right foods, you can reset your chemistry and start feeling like yourself again. Be able to say no and put boundaries in place to help you not overstretch your limitations, but help you manage your limitations. If this video helped you, make sure to hit that like button, share with someone who may benefit from the information, and don't forget to subscribe for more insights on taking control of your mind and body. Check out these recommended videos here. You've got this, and I'll see you in the next one.